It was a late afternoon in the summer of 1932. A mile and a half east of Killdeer, North Dakota, two farm boys, 12-year-old Leo Dworshak and his younger brother Mike, had finished their chores for the day and were exploring a grassy hilltop near the farm. It was little Mike who first spotted a strange object in the valley below. It was a huge, round thing. Leo recounts in his remarkable book, UFOs Are With Us. Take my word. We just stood there gaping at it and began excitedly discussing what it was doing down there and trying our best to understand just what we were seeing. It was silvery, and although it was probably more than half a mile away, we could tell it was certainly as big as our barn, maybe even bigger. It appeared to be perfectly round, and I counted many different colors of light on it that came from a band around the edge. I thought it must be a machine because it was rotating in a complicated way. The flashing colored lights formed an outer shell, like a band or belt that went completely around it at the widest point and was turning one way. The inner shell seemed to be standing still, or perhaps turning the other way. It was totally silent and produced no cloud of exhaust fumes or smoke. We stood there on the hilltop for some time, just watching that incredible machine. Then we decided to try to get closer for a better look. As we began to walk downhill toward the machine, we were still more amazed to find our way blocked by an invisible force that would not let us get any closer. It was as if we were bumping up against an invisible fence or wall. We encountered that invisible something again and again, sliding to one side and the other against its unyielding surface. Finally, we gave up our efforts to approach it and just sat on the hillside next to the barrier, watching the machine and debating the situation. The boys renewed their efforts to penetrate the invisible barrier by approaching it from different directions, to no avail. Finally, we just sat back down and watched, Leo continued. Before too long, we saw the curious rotation slow and eventually stop, and the colorful light stopped blinking at the edge of the machine. We also noticed that the outer shell now had an opening that had somehow opened up in the side of the machine. Out of it came three people who walked down a sort of ramp that, just as miraculously, sprouted out of the side of the machine. They stood in the dry weeds beside their enormous, silvery machine. We watched the distant figures very closely and saw that they were all wearing the same type and color of suit or coverall. These people walked only a short distance from the machine and moved around near it. They finally returned to the machine and closed the door, and the ramp just went away again.